Again, welcome to Job Search Strategies for International Students. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about our job search strategies and focus a little bit on different goals. So we are going to do this today, which is talk a little bit about strategies that will help best support your job search process, will help you sort of develop virtual job search strategies, talk a little bit about how to communicate with employers and the importance of communication, as well as obtain an overview of optical practical training. We may not necessarily do it all in the same order, but we'll cover these different topics. So the first thing that I wanted to talk to everyone about is, so in this current state of the world that we're in, the job market really isn't something that you can control, or the internship market isn't really something you can control either. But you can do your best to sort of understand the job market for your industry at this current present moment and really take that information and make decisions with it, right? And so there are industries and positions that are currently hiring and have high need right now. So while you can't control the economy, you can't control the future or the hiring process or what recruiters do or even the start dates and things like that. What you can control in this process of your career is updating your resume, working on your interviewing skills, your current skill development, keep gaining those opportunities to gain those skills that you need for your job, expanding your network, taking care of yourself, how you do in your job, and your attitude towards the process. So these are definitely some things that you can work on during this time. So this graphic was provided by the source here. So if you wanted to view it, then you can later on. But I just wanted to start with this to preface this sort of mindset for everybody. So in the chat, if you will, kind of share with me, like, what are some of your current goals and priorities? And maybe type this into the chat box so we can kind of see what folks are thinking and I can read some responses aloud. I'll give you all maybe a few minutes to do that. And then type into the chat box, what are your current goals and priorities? What are you currently thinking about right now in terms of your job search process or internship search process? So I have someone say, get a summer internship and land a full-time offer after graduating for data science or data analytics. So of course, summer internship is on folks' mind, and that makes sense because we're in fall recruiting. Understand whether having an F-1 visa will affect my chances of getting a job or internship. So trying to understand the visa and what it means. Finding a summer internship, again, for OPT. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of folks are pretty like just interested in wanting to know the process of searching for a position as well as the process of what it means to have an F-1 visa and what your opportunities are, right? So that's pretty typical. And so you're not alone in this process, that this is why you're here today. And again, that is what our goal and priority is. So it's good to know that most of us are on the same page. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you about is if you are needing to apply for internships in the US and you're wanting to um, really get that internship and job, then the first thing you need to do is understand the employer and understand how the system works, right? And so what you need to do is research what American employers currently need and what opportunities they can currently offer. So American employers are generally very supportive of the H-1B program and hiring international workers, and many are still hiring top talent. And so currently there really aren't any changes to optional practical training from what I know. CC may have some more information about that when she explains OPT. But make sure to research employers' hiring needs and then prepare yourself to fulfill them, right? So that's what you want to do. Research their needs and then figure out what you need to do to prepare to fill those needs. Okay, so some things that American employers are looking for. So many employers are looking for soft and technical skills as well as knowledge and experience. And their ultimate goal is to hire qualified and value added candidates. From some of the articles that I've been reading, I have been noticing that, and this is something that's been trending for a long time, but communication is really one of those key skills that American employers are looking for. And many international students develop strong technical skills as well as adaptability and flexibility, but many struggle with communicating their transferable skills. And also like speaking up in an American workplace environment, such as when they need to speak in meetings or when they need to do presentations. So while you are in UCSB developing all of these great technical skills and academic knowledge, it's also really important to be able to communicate that to an employer or be able to communicate that to a team that you're going to be working on in the future. So those are some things that you might want to keep in mind as you prepare for your job search and internship search. Okay. So, what this means for you is really try to be proactive and realistic on the number of companies that you apply for and do a lot of research on your industry. Um, Constantly keep up and read about your profession and the industry that you want to be in, and diversify the number of companies that you're going to be participating in. Oftentimes, a lot of students look for those like multinational, large brand name companies to apply for. And yes, those companies have a lot of experience hiring international workers. However, they're also very competitive. And so those are great. Those are very competitive, make great internships, make great full-time jobs, but don't discount the small, mid-size, or maybe later stage startups as well, because those also offer a lot of great experiential learning opportunities and potentially like full-time opportunities for workers as well. And so some things for you to think about is really diversify the types of companies that you're looking into. And then the next thing is, be willing to look into cities outside of coastal areas. Coastal areas and those cities tend to be the more popular places that people look for job opportunities and internship opportunities, but they're not the only places that hire. So if your goal really is to get an internship or to get a job, like be willing to look outside some of those like traditional big city areas or big, large name brand companies. Okay. And then prepare diligently for your career and manage your expectations as you learn more and diversify your search. So right now, there's probably going to be a lot of small businesses and nonprofits that need your help, and consider virtual internship opportunities that you can pursue too. Many tech companies are still interested in hiring international employees, so stay motivated and assess your options as you move forward. When you are looking, you can utilize a variety of different resources. Some places that you may look is like myvisajobs.com, or maybe utilizing one of the resources that we offer through Career Services, which is called Going Global. You can also search for international alumni who work in the US on LinkedIn and then connect with them to start developing that network for yourself. And then look for companies with international teams, because sometimes even if you do an internship in your home country, you may be able to like work in the US and gain an internship or full-time offer in the US later, if that's something you're looking for. And then target companies in popular H1 states. So do a little bit of research, find out which states are a little bit more popular for international students or welcoming for international students, and kind of target those organizations and companies. Okay, so that's a little bit about the beginning of your job search process. I'm going to turn it over to Cece to explain a little bit about optional practical training.
Okay, so what is optional practical training, otherwise known as OPT? So this occurs once you've finished your program at UCSB. So some of the points here are that you must be in F-1 status at the time that you submit your application to the government. You should have completed one full academic year, so that would be 3 quarters at UCSB. And you should not have been granted OPT at the same educational level that you're finishing your degree at UCSB. So for example, if you had a master's at another institution and you decided to get a second master's at UCSB, but you had done OPT already at that master's, you wouldn't be eligible for a second OPT at UCSB, and that you wouldn't have done 12 months of full-time CPT. You're allowed to do several months of part-time CPT. You could have done 15 months or 16 months of part-time CPT, but the rule is you shouldn't do 12 months of full-time CPT. That would make you ineligible for full-time OPT. Next slide. Let's see here if I can move this. Carol? Oh, okay. What is OPT? So sorry about that. Well, it's authorization from the government, which is the United States Customs and Immigration Service, to work up to 12 months in a field directly related to your major. And the employment must be full-time. So that currently is at least 20 hours or more of work per week. And the employment should be commensurate with your degree levels. So if you do some benchmarking and take a look at normal salaries are for someone at your degree level in industry, that pay scale should be at par with the other pay scales that you're looking at. Next slide. What kind of work can I do during OPT? So the employment must be related to your most recently completed degree. If, let's say, you had done an MBA, but then you went back and you didn't do an OPT, and then you went back to UCSB to take a master's in biology, and then you wanted to pursue your OPT as a manager. Your degree was in biology at UCSB. So the OPT has to be connected to what your I-20 is currently listing and what degree you just finished. Let's see. Okay, so I think we already covered that slide. So we're moving on to STEM OPT extension. Many of our students, not all of our students, but many of our students are in science, technology, and engineering and mathematics majors. And so the STEM extension is for those who are in these majors, and you would know if you qualify by looking at what's called the CIP code, that's CIP code on your I-20, and looking at that code, and then we have a link on our website to see if you qualify for this extension. And so before your OPT expires, you would request from OISS to extend your I-20 for the OPT STEM extension, and then you would apply for an additional 2 years with the USCIS for work. And during this time, there are stricter reporting requirements than when you were on the OPT. And so that's pretty much how the STEM extension would work. And next slide. Okay, so positions in the tech? What are positions in tech and non-tech? Well, whether you have a sociology degree or you have a degree in computer science, you're still able to pursue and can be gainfully employed here in the United States in the OPT portion of your education at UCSB. So you're just because you do not have a tech position does not render you out of the loop for OPT. You would still be able to apply for OPT. And I have seen students get jobs who have degrees in the humanities and the arts.
Thank you, Cece. I just wanted to add to this part. A lot of students get really confused by their degree and what that has to do with their job search or internship search. So a lot of students think that, okay, if I have a technical degree, that I only have to work in the technical or in the fields of technology. But actually, there's a lot of like fields that also require technology skills as well as technology types of jobs. So for example, you can have a technical degree and work in the public sector. So you can work in like public institutions, depending on the type of public institution, but you can work in like some public institutions. And in the non-tech field, let's say you have a degree in humanities and you can also work in technology. So think a little bit more about your academic preparation and your academic experience and how that relates into the job role and function rather than the particular industry or sector. So if you have more questions about that, you can always meet with a career counselor and we can help you kind of like decipher or support you in kind of thinking about your academic experience and how that might relate to a position that you would be wanting to apply for. So the next thing that I want to talk about, or we're going to talk about, is virtual search strategies. So this is especially relevant now to the times that we're in. So we're going to focus this job search portion now on virtual search strategies specifically and tips for that. So what can you do right now is leverage the digital space and really develop your online presence, right? And so develop those online networking skills to get yourself kind of like on social media. And when I say social media, I don't like mean maybe like Instagram or anything like that, but more so I mean like a professional social media like LinkedIn. So learn how to write an email in a way that is quote unquote professional. Create a strong LinkedIn profile and presence and start networking with recruiters and industry professionals and connect with them so you can find different mentors as well as do some informational interview to gain that industry knowledge. So start developing that network for yourself in this online virtual space. Also use online resources to learn. So on our website, which serves as an online career center, career.ucsb.edu, there is information on how to get hired, how to think about grad school, different career path guides to really support you through some of the common questions or frequently asked questions that students have with regards to career development. So I highly recommend looking into some online resources. We can help you with creating a LinkedIn as well as like writing your first resume or maybe even updating your resume or your cover letter material. So if you want, like, please utilize those online resources to like enhance your digital space. The other thing to do is continue to build your skills and qualifications. So there's a lot of online trainings and virtual events that you can attend to, and as well as professional organizations that you can be a part of to help you build those skills and qualifications in the industry or field that you're trying to go into. So make sure that you utilize that digital presence and develop it during your time at UCSB or as you progress in your job search and internship search. So one of the things that you can do is if you're looking for internships or if you're looking for experience is to consider doing some micro internships, which are essentially short paid professional assignments are very similar to what's given to new hires or interns. And these projects help you demonstrate skills as well as explore career paths and build your network. So you can utilize one of the resources that we have called Parker Dewey, and it's a platform where you can look for experience. And this is in addition to Handshake. So you can utilize Handshake to look for job opportunities that UCSB students are being recruited for essentially, but you can also consider doing some micro internships by searching Parker Dewey as well, or any type of website or platform that helps you build experience in your specific field. And if you wanted some examples, you can also look on our website in some of our career guides for specific industries. We have career guides on data science, we have career guides on education, we have career guides on business and communications, marketing, all these kind of different career guides. So if you're interested in a variety of fields, you can get support in your career path area. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is what is an active job search versus a passive job search. A lot of folks rely on a passive job search, which is essentially just relying on online postings and utilizing one resume for all of your jobs and just sending your resume or submitting it online with no follow-up, right? This may be a quote unquote simpler way to apply for jobs, but it's not super effective. And for some folks, they might even argue it's not simple because you're clicking so many submits, but you're not really getting anything back. So I don't really recommend a passive job search. Instead, you would be much more effective trying an active job search, which is using multiple methods and using targeted application materials for the jobs that you're applying for. So what that means is taking your resume and cover letter or any of your application materials and really tailoring it to the job that you're applying for. This is more intensive and energy intensive, but it's much more effective. And the other thing too is interacting with your peers and with professionals and recruiters in the industry so you can keep up to date with sort of what's going on, what's happening, what resources you may need to know about so that you can kind of stay on top of the recruiting trends. So doing an active job search is something that you should probably consider as you move forward. So before you apply for jobs, something that you want to answer is what is this company or organization's history on sponsoring international candidates for the positions that you seek? So you might notice that some companies may hire international students or international employees, but they may not hire it for the positions that you're looking for or even at the level that you're looking for, right? So just kind of get an understanding of the company's history. And it doesn't mean that if they've never hired before that they're not willing to. It just means that if they historically have hired international workers at your level, then the chances are if you apply there, you may hear something back, right? So that's something to know, like the trends of this company or organization's hiring. And then how can someone in the company advocate for me or refer me to a position? Why is this question important? This question is important because if you know someone who can refer you to a company or advocate for you, your chances of getting your foot in the door, quote unquote, foot in the door, or getting yourself noticed by a recruiter or hiring manager is much higher. And that's a good thing. You make it easier for them, you make it easier for you. And then what unique value do I offer this company? This is the part that really you can work on. You can work on communicating what unique value or experiences or skills you offer to the company that you are wanting to go into. And this has to do with your own research, like what do they need? What are they working on? And then what do you have to offer them to make you that unique value added candidate? So, when you're marketing yourself to employers, here are some things that you may want to communicate. You kind of want to communicate your qualifications, both in written form and in speaking form. By knowing your strengths and weaknesses, you're able to then explain to the employer like what it is that you're going to add to their organization. You also want to be able to show your intellectual curiosity and show that you have initiative. So, you also want to understand like which jobs you're qualified for, and then of course offer the unique value to the company, which I have said multiple times in this presentation. Um, if you can research a little bit about the organizational culture and how you sort of see yourself fitting into that culture or adding to that culture and demonstrating your willingness to learn and adapt and how the adaptability and flexibility is relevant to the organization that you're going to be joining or that you want to join. You also want to consider whether or not there's a problem that they're working on or a project that they're working on that you can help solve. And maybe offer some creative ideas to the company and position. You may not want to do that exactly in the interview, but that's something good to consider as you maybe do some networking or as you talk to people. And then, of course, be able to communicate your ability to collaborate in a team. So work on some team projects and be able to talk about those things. So, some things for you to keep working on is, write some persuasive cover letters and resumes because that's going to be really important in your process. Practice your elevator pitches and interviewing skills a lot, especially virtually. So make sure you're looking at the camera when you are doing your interviews and tell your story in a way that again adds value and shows your accomplishments. Research positions that you would have a good or great chance in attaining, and make sure you talk to recruiters about what their hiring needs are and what opportunities may be available to you as a person who is seeking opportunities and jobs and internships. Also, produce quality digital content and produce quality digital portfolio. So, whether that's on social media or your portfolio or your website or your LinkedIn, just make sure that your online presence is strong. And then understand your visa opportunities and limitations. So if you need more clarification on OPT, on CPT, then meet with your OSS advisor for clarification or look on the website because the website has really comprehensive information just for the beginning stages of applying, as well as all of the steps. And it really goes to explaining each part component of applying for OPT and CPT. So I highly recommend looking on the OSS website and looking at the employment section specifically to learn about how do you apply for OPT and CPT. And CPT is curricular practical training. And we can talk a little bit about that later on in this presentation if you would like to or during the Q&A. So as I mentioned, building relationships is something that's really important, or communication is really important in the American workplace. So make sure that you talk to and learn from people about the job search. And this can include from people such as faculty, staff members, your friends, family, etc. Because this is just some people that you could talk to, or even like a career counselor, and we can provide you with some advice on how to approach your job search process that would be really tailored to your needs. And then utilize your professional story in your elevator pitch when you are talking about your job search process. So make sure that you have your introduction, that you are able to explain what you're looking for and what your professional goals are. And then learn to conduct some informational interviews without asking for a job or internship. So this is important when you're trying to do some networking, okay, or developing those connections so that they can maybe in the future become your future like colleague or maybe become your future mentor. And then pay attention to the opportunities at the companies that you want to work with. Like follow them early on and just keep following them like throughout your academic career because that will help you learn more about like what it is that they're really interested in, as well as the trends in that industry. And then get comfortable asking people for their time and having conversations with new people because you're going to be introducing yourself to a lot of people. And I know it's really hard when it's like your first time trying to introduce yourself to someone and tell them about who you are, but really try to practice doing that a lot so that it just comes really naturally to you or at least easier for you. And then have conversations with them about the topics that you're really interested in, and then weave them into those conversations in regards to your professional and career development. So just like some quick tips on informational interviewing. So informational interviews aren't really the place to ask for a job, but you want to make a positive impression and build relationships with company insiders. And what this does is it helps you gather data to make you a more competitive candidate. And you learn about the organization and the industry, which is beneficial to you when you're applying for an internship or job there. So make sure that when you do it, you introduce yourself, you share what your career interests are, and you show your passion for the profession. And then a bonus would be if you can ask them to recommend someone else for you to reach out to. So I know that in this part, my internet may have been a little bit unstable because the sign went up, but if that's the case, some of the things I covered were on this slide. So I just want to make sure that you get a good understanding of what informational interviewing is. So here's a quick little like short video to further explain that I want to share with you because informational interviewing really is an important part of this process as you learn to develop your network and communicate with employers about your interests. So I'm going to go ahead and share this very short video.
An informational interview is an amazingly powerful tool. It can help you learn about different types of work you're interested in. And by providing inside perspective, it can
I lie, never mind. I think my internet is too unstable for me to share the video, but it'll be in the presentation or it'll be in the link if you want a link to the presentation slides. I can have that for you all. Sorry about that. I hope that you all can still hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. I really hope so. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off my video because usually that helps. But now I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about preparing for interviews. So when you're preparing for interviews, here's some quick tips. So make sure that you research and you prepare. So research the employer, prepare early, and then when you are talking, make sure to speak slowly and clearly so that someone can understand you, especially if you are talking on video. And then talk about your achievements and accomplishments and practice those responses aloud. Oftentimes, like you want to make notes, but you don't have to over rehearse it, but just practice talking about yourself, whether it is like in front of a camera, in front of your screen, to develop that comfort speaking in front of in front of a screen or in front of a person. Okay, so those are some quick tips. There are more interviewing tips on our website, but I just wanted to go over some of these. And then for virtual interviewing, remember to dress fully for the interview so you feel like you're in that interview environment. And then prepare your audio and virtual background. So make sure that your background isn't too distracting, and then make sure that you have a good audio connection so that people can hear what you're saying. And then find a quiet space with limited distractions if possible, and let people around you know that you are interviewing right now and that you're going to be needing some quiet time in that hour. And then practice by recording yourself and seeing how you talk on video and how you are sort of like responding to questions. One way that you can do that is leveraging a resource called Big Interview, and you can log into Big Interview through Handshake. I want to see if I can share this video with you. It might not work because my internet is
Are you
a
nervous
little
about
bit.
your next
Oh,
interview?
it works.
It can be really tough to sell yourself and stand out, especially with so many tough questions to answer. That's why we developed Big Interview, a proven system for better interview prep. Big Interview was developed by top interview expert Pamela Skillings. She's helped thousands of clients ace their interviews and land their dream jobs. Now you can learn proven and tested ways to truly impress hiring managers. Pamela will teach you how to be an amazing candidate and coach you through exercises that have helped thousands of her clients. She'll help you anticipate tough questions, prepare your sales pitch, and show up confident and ready. And most importantly, Coach Pam will guide you through practicing with Big Interview's cutting-edge mock interview tool. Don't waste your next career opportunity. It's hard enough to get an interview. Try the Big Interview system today, and you'll be ready to land your dream job.
So again, Big Interview is essentially an interview practice platform that you can utilize as a UCSB student. And all you would do is log in through Handshake, and then you can find different videos and things like that to prepare you for your interview. And you can practice video interviews. So if that's something that you want to be doing, then check out this particular resource. So the next thing that I want to talk a little bit about is when should I reveal my status? I think a lot of times as an international student, you're not really sure when you should tell an employer that you're an international student and that you have F-1 visa, or if you're a J-1 student, J-1 visa, but or whatever visa you have. But essentially, you do not need to reveal when you are recruiting, but you should do so before the interview. So even if the employer can't hire international students for a position, it's important to make a positive impression because it could lead to referrals at other locations and companies because the recruiting like circle could be pretty small and well connected. And so if you want to, and the industry might be really small. So you want to make a good impression with every single employer that you do interact with so that even if they can't hire you, they can refer you to someone else and maybe help you along the way. But ultimately, it is your responsibility and decision of how and when. If you want some tips on this, we do have some tips on our website where it talks a little bit about international students and frequently asked questions about like how do you answer some of these questions as an international student. So that's something for you to look out for on our website. And then finally, I wanted to mention, actually not finally, but one more thing I want to mention is, you have an opportunity to seek experiences and jobs in the United States, in your home country, and in different countries. So, as someone who is like a global like person, international person, like you do have a lot of opportunities to find opportunities like everywhere. So kind of like open yourself up to that possibility or thought process of like, okay, where do I find experience? What might that look like? And where do I want to go next? Or maybe for just like the next 3 months or something like that. So think a little bit about what type of experiences you might want to have and how that might look differently depending on what your needs are. And so if you are looking for resources for a global job search, like you can use some of these different mega sites I have that I have here. Like you can use Going Global, which you can access on Handshake, myvisajobs.com. If you're looking into NGOs, you can use the wango.org, mathjob.com. You can also use like the mega sites like LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, Career Builder. You can also look for job sites for specific countries. So if you know that of a country that you want to go to and they have specific jobs in that country or job sites for that country, you can also look there as well for jobs. Um, and so this brings me back to like, when it comes to your career, there's many things that you cannot control, but you can control some of the things that I talked about today. And so I highly recommend thinking about doing some of these different things like updating your resume, practicing your communication skills, continue to develop your skill set as you move forward. So as you embark on your job search journey, I know a lot of times like you have to sort of focus on what you can do because a lot of times you need to adjust your expectations and expect delays and rejection. Like a rejection is super normal in the job search process. And so I just wanted to mention that that's something that will happen. It happens a lot. And so it's not a failure on you. It just happens. Okay. And so focus on what you can do and practice self-care along the way and self-regulation because this process can be very exhausting for some people or very exciting for others. So it's both exciting and also tiring. And then obtain more information along the way and develop new strategies to help you along the way. And then develop alternative plans or develop multiple plans. Like have plan A, have plan B, have plan C, have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So have multiple plans and let those sort of guide you as you begin your search. So this brings us to, what are some of your takeaways? Like, what are some strategies that you learned today that you might want to implement in your search process? Or what advice do you have for other folks who are searching that you would like to share with the student community here? Please write that in the chat and then I'll read some of those out. Yeah, so let me know, like, what are some of your takeaways from today's conversation? Oh no, I don't see any takeaways. So I'm hoping that it's a delay and not that I'm not getting any responses. Maybe I'll give it like a few more minutes, like one more minute. Okay. So I see some folks say, I think the website to look for jobs are going to be very useful. Okay, so some of the websites and web resources. Start looking for opportunities early on. Okay. International student got opportunity globally and not just in the US. Yeah. So those are all some great takeaways. Like, feel free to keep writing them in the chat if you would like. Um, and ask questions as well. Okay. Whew. I think there was just a delay, but like, you know, there are also some questions. So if you have questions, please feel free to also write it in the chat or write it into the Q&A. Okay, so one of the last few things that I want to talk to you about is how can you contact career services um, or OISS. So you can make a phone or virtual appointment through Handshake, and there's going to be virtual workshops and employer information sessions as well as career fairs that you can attend through career services. So visit our website, career.ucsb.edu. You can log into Handshake, and then you'll be able to access a lot of different career-related resources. You can also, if you have any questions, contact careerhelp@sa.ucsb.edu. And then for OISS, you can go on their website as well, and then which is oiss.sa.ucsb.edu, unless they updated it, and contact them at oiss@sa.ucsb.edu. I do know that I just saw today that they sent some emails about virtual drop-in hours and things like that. So if you want to get involved in either one of our offices, we are available virtually to you, and we encourage you to meet with us. So now I'm going to open it up for some questions.